Before I start, as always, I wish to inform you that the transcript of the video is attached here below in the description to the video. So anyone who is interested in the subject of my research has an option not to watch the entire recording, but just have a look at the script. You can also go through transcripts related to the previous videos. I also inform you that I attached all the documents to the Telegram channel that I registered for this person. So I continue my story. So in 2018, I filed a new application to court. This was one of many my attempts to clarify the situation with the non-molestation order that was purportedly or allegedly issued against me. The situation with the order was unclear. Well, the fraudsters went around the police stations claiming that the court had imposed a number of prohibitions and restrictions on my rights. The court itself refused to confirm anything. He did not confirm anything. He just went in, I would say, full denial. In some way, I could understand the court behavior. The situation with the order was unique in its nature. So in previous videos, I provided a short description of the situation. So basically, what happened that some fraudsters, members of solicitor regulating authority and the bars for barristers, managed to sell to certain John Abel a complicated criminal plan. The necessary step for the launching of such plan was that John Abel must sign a so-called application for non-molestation order, in which my name of Elena Vasilieva, was listed as a respondent. And so he did. In fact, it is a known fact that the application was filed in some judicial institutions close to High Court of Justice in London. Then it was called Principal Registry of the Family Division of the High Court of Justice, now Central Family Court. The application was filed and recorded under the number AFD 14F0086 on the 31st January 2014. As the next step requested by rules, the court must set the inter-party full hearing to learn the case and to look at evidence provided by applicant's party. They call it fact findings. And in capacity of respondent, my legal role was respondent. This role was not chosen by me. It was chosen by them, that I had to respond to some allegation. So, in capacity of respondent, I should be notified about the court date, so I can be present in case I choose so. So it is proved that the application and the obtaining of a registration number as a starting point of the case was definitely a part of the malicious plan designed by the fraudsters. It is not clear, however, whether the learning of the case and evidence during inter-party full hearing in presence of both parties was planned or not. Probably the involvement of the court was expected to be limited to the only registration of the application. What is known also is that the course of the case stopped after the registration. The case did not move forward to the next step. Legally, what happened next is defined as miscarriage of justice. Because the course of justice stopped, it did not proceed to the next step. It is a proven fact that no any inter-party full hearing was set, no any legal court order was ever issued, no any restriction or prohibitions on my rights was ever placed on me. Not only I was not notified about the date of the hearing, moreover, the court ignored all my requests to set such date. It is not clear why the court ignored my request even before fraudsters made abuse of law and provided a harm. So before it committed fraud on court, okay? But it was obviously, for some reason, the court denied. So while no any court hearing was ever set and no any final order was ever issued, the fraudsters managed to obtain some piece of paper with the court stamp on it and the title Non-Molestation order. The content of purported order sounded harmless, but it was not. To some standard phrases, they added some phrases that sounded kind of like if written in Rush, slightly confusive. So these phrases were worded in such particular way that allowed the fraudsters to interpret the content in various ways. Some of such ways are just absurd. By the time the error was discovered, the fraudsters have committed lots of fraud and misuse of the law by using this piece of paper that had no any legal value. So the matter would be finished there, but the problem was that the fraudsters kept going around the police station to report me for alleged breach of the order that did not exist, and the prohibitions, so injunctions, they called injunctions, that were never placed. They also incited John to report me. They incited some strangers, people who had never come across me. They incited them to report me. So police started persecuting me wherever I was. Each time I went to London, I was arrested just on board airplane. It was a show, etc., etc., etc. as the time passed, it was too late for John to give up the case, and he just continued pay 1,000, 10,000 to these fraudsters, who were obviously very happy, and they involved their friends, more friends. So generously paid by such a good client, fraudsters have never stopped writing, acting, and advising. They wrote a lot, but if one wish to adapt and to summarize their writing, if one wish to get to some essence of the writing, if some wish to analyze all this writing and all this enormous amount of papers from point of view, what do they aimed at, what do they want to achieve by enforcing the faked order and the prohibitions that has never actually been placed, the picture became clear and undeniable. And this is why I kind of let them to write as much as possible, so we could get some essence from all this chaos. And from the writing transpires clearly the picture that at some stage, somewhere in past, certain Elena Vasilyeva witnessed some crime committed by some of the members of Group A. Or probably she was a victim of some crime. It is not clear, but it is not important. Even for us, it's not important. For us, important that they abuse the law in order to prevent the crime from being reported. That's it. The matter of rights is important for us. So basically, this crime was not reported yet, but their concern was that it could be reported. So clearly, on suggestion of fraudsters, who basically incited by them, members of Group A decided to act in advance before the crime is reported. So basically, they led fraudsters to convince them to act because the attack is the best defense. So they do everything to forbid me to talk about some crime or investigations, to interfere with my right as a witness, to interfere with potential reporting of the crime, to discredit me as a witness, to build me a reputation of unreliable witness, etc., etc., etc. For example, they contacted police and instructed them not to accept criminal reports against John Abel because allegedly it was forbidden. My direct report to the police was forbidden by Her Honor Judge Hugh, etc., etc. This kind of things. Or they wrote a request to Westminster Magistrate Court to forbid me to witness in a case in relation to certain people I came never across to, like Sean Donan, Shin Bates, etc., etc. So it is what they ask courts, not it has nothing to do with me. They ask court on base of this non-molestation order to forbid me all these actions. From my side, I did all I could to attract court attention and attention of the police to my problem. For example, I asked court to confirm that the court has placed on me prohibitions as Foster insisted in their writings, and I forwarded to court evidence by the police that they tried to interfere with my right to report offense to police, and they Foster referred to a family court decision, and the court did not reply anything. As I said, they took strange position. The court went in full denial. So the court obviously, it was too late for the court to recognize error. So it just hoped I fed up and disappear somewhere. So it was basically, according to rules, when the case stopped at registration and the inter-party full hearing is not set, this is defined as miscarriage of justice, because it's an error, it's a court error that it did not set any date. But court ignored, they also shocked by the abuse made by fraudsters, that it ignored all my suggestions to rectify the error. Even if I suggested to rectify the error in many ways, in the ways that allow the justice not to lose its face and to demonstrate that at the end it works, the system works, and it protects people's rights, like my rights, from abusers. Means uphold justice. But as the time passed, it became clear that the only way to attract the attention of the court to my problem was to file an application for discharge or change of the order. Like if acknowledging that it exists. So this was the only way to put the court in position of impossibility to avoid setting of the hearing. So I made application, I paid money, and I, in document attached to application, I described my problem. So the hearing was set in front of Judge Gibson, who had plenty of time to learn the case and probably to come to some solution, and I think she did. My application to court is also attached to the present video, but it's too long and too complicated, and we will be back to it later. So the matter raised by me was clearly between me and court. In no way other party, members of Group A or Group B, should be involved in it. It was clearly between me and court. But they found about the hearing, and they came to court with the explicit purpose of causing even more chaos and interfering with the proceeding. Moreover, as it turned out, they planned a great show. The purpose of that great show was to defeat me, definitely, to crush me, to humiliate me, finally suppressed my will to resist and to make me to disappear from England if I ever leave the prison, obviously. So on 23rd November 2018, I came to court and I found the massive presence of 8 individuals. It was obvious that they were trying to intimidate me, and in meantime, the massive presence of barrister, solicitor training, solicitor colleagues, etc., was aimed into making some kind of soft pressure on the judge. So they used all sorts of tricks to impress me. They looked at me with contempt, trying to breach my spirit. They laughed at me. Even stupid young girl, training solicitor, probably zero, nothing. She laughed at me and she almost pointed at me. Who is you? Sorry. But these tricks, the lawyers taught you. They did not teach you the law. They teach you tricks to bullying other party. They provoked me. Barrister Cabra, who headed the group and who was half of my height, somehow managed to look at me, look down at me. She turned up her nose. She wrinkled her forehead. I will be back to Cabra's personality next time. So these were all intimidation tactics that I had been dealing with, what they use against people. I looked at these individuals clowning around me, making funny faces, and I felt sorry for those people who assume risk to defend their dignity and rights in this system. So in these circumstances, Cabra provided me with this book. As I said in previous videos, it's very interesting. We're going to look inside. Going to look inside this book next time, maybe tomorrow. So, anyway, it must be admitted and recognized that during the hearing on November 23rd, 2018, these people managed to create chaos and to disturb the hearing. First, they succeeded in replacing Judge Gibson with a new judge, with His Honor Judge Tolson, Kusi, Queen's Counsel. The replacement was announced over the microphone last minute, just as we were about to enter court presided by Judge Gibson. So, after the announcement of the change of the judge, we moved to ground floor and we took seats by the court presided by His Honor Judge Tolson. It is not surprising that with all this transfer, all papers had disappeared from my folder. All what I brought there to court and all documents recorded by court just had disappeared. There's an interesting thing that While we were sitting in front of the court presided by Judge Tolson, Barrister Cabra behaved in a very strange way. Such behavior is unacceptable in other jurisdictions. She just went in room and outside of judge's room like if she were moving around her own apartment. I found it quite strange. I mean, normally judge keep lawyers kind of a distance, not to provoke any gossips and any speculation. This is normal practice in all jurisdictions. It can be documented that the judge did not read my application as he must have done in any at the beginning of the hearing in any jurisdiction of the law. He did not read either my application or the content of the order submitted for discharge of a change, and which existence the court did not confirm. Moreover, in my personal opinion, the judge did not understand why we were there, and he was not interested in finding out why. It must be said that, so basically what I want to say, the judge in any jurisdiction of the world, any hearing, judge entered the room, said, sit down, take the seats, then he asked who is respondent, who is the applicant, and the application is read. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it's just this is how the justice work. So it must be said that with the appearance of Judge Tolson, of the figure of judge, who is referred as a neutral figure, impartial figure, or in Latin, super partes, two party and super partes. The atmosphere of hatred against me has increased from the moment the judge entered the room, even before we took the seats. He clearly joined the gang against me. Basically, the only person in that room who was neutral towards me was the clerk. She was the only person to look at me with indifference. All the rest of people were clearly aggressive against me, and the most aggressive against me was the judge. It took me a few minutes before I got clear understanding of why British people call private family courts like courts of Inquisition, Gestapo, secret courts, etc. His Honor Judge Tolson QC dismissed my application on without merit ground, without even reading what it has actually dismissed. It is, of course, it's kind of unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, we were not sitting in his sitting room, in his private house. We were in some public institution where the actions must follow some prescribed rules. At this point, I realized that I had nothing to do among these people, and I left. But after that, I asked for the transcript of the hearing. I paid money as always in England, you cannot do anything without. No, sometimes you can actually do. But anyway, I had to pay. I paid, and I received the transcript. And that's how I found out that what happened in that Gestapo or Court of Inquisition after my departure. This official transcript will be also published in next days with some necessary comments and clarifications. And this is a really important document. It has been appeared from a transcript that it was very wise from me to leave these people, and I left them in the right time. A few minutes later, it would be too late. It became clear from the transcript that the big show was planned and organized by conspirators. The show failed because of my sudden disappearance. My disappearance was not planned. So basically it was not enough for them that the police followed me wherever I went. It was not enough for them that I was arrested on board of an airplane each time I went to London. They wanted to make me to disappear from UK forever, in the way that I never come back. So, as the last attempt to intimidate me, to crush me, to suppress my spirit to resist, to make me disappear forever from UK, they organized my arrest by the police right in courtroom. So the police was secretly called, and police car was approaching and expected to be in court in a few minutes time. What I came to know from the transcript, it turned out that Cabra put the message in front of judge, but judge just didn't notice it because just didn't notice it. And before the door behind me closed, Cabra asked judge to prevent me from leaving the building. After a minute of hesitation, Tolson gave instructions to the clerk to call emergency service at 999 and to provide my description, to alarm police around the building. He also alarmed security staff of the court. Phil Morton was sent by Cabra for me with the mission to bring me back or to detain me until the police arrives. But for an instant, I left building straight away and I headed along the High Holborn on the left. I turned left after leaving building along High Holborn. And at some moment, I noticed Phil Morton trailing behind me as a snake. When I asked him to explain his behavior, he prayed me to come back, telling that they cannot continue without me, which was absolutely lie, because conspirators try to conduct all hearings without the other party being even informed about it. His task was to point a police at me. I think if any police car was passing that moment or passing nearby, he would stop them and indicated me. I just imagine picture of police running after me and handcuffing me right in the center of London in High Holborn, not far from High Court of Justice. And I imagine Phil would take picture of this event. And I also think that Phil, because his degree is not in law, his degree is in business study, but he failed as a business person, but his brain is still buying and selling. And I think I suggest he would try to sell pictures to some newspaper with headlines like something like Russian lady wanted by British police was arrested in city of London. Just in case Phil Morton listened to me, I'd like to ask him, is it true, Phil, what I'm talking about? Is it true? Phil, but I'm sorry, but you are an idiot. You lost time when you let me to leave the building because you idiots believed me to go to reception room on first floor. This would be stupid for me to go at reception desk on first floor. I could, if I need to go there, I would be back next day, and I did come back next day, and day after, and after and after. But if I left the building, it means that I had some instinct, some presentiment that something. Basically, you saying created this atmosphere of strange atmosphere of hate. So you led the situation to the point that I had some bad presentiment. That obviously my instinct was to leave this building, so I did. I mean, you feel you'd better stop doing lawyer. You'd better go back to volunteering for black women in Africa, or how it was called, the organization where you did volunteering before Stephen Lomasney, another great personage. We'll be back to her before she picked you up and made a lawyer. Anyway, as it turned out, just as I had foreseen, exactly like in other cases, this judge, His Honor Judge Tolson, did not understand what was happening. He also became a victim of a fraud, and he admitted it, although in indirect way, but he did admit that he committed a mistake. Because consequently, so basically obviously I could not give up such situation when someone rejects some application without even reading what he is actually reject. And so I wrote a new application, and I wrote requests for clarification, etc., etc. And he refused to provide me with judgment for his decision. It's quite unusual. The judge refused to explain what he has actually ordered. And this obviously is led to new complaint, Tolson complaint, that is attached to the present video. And this is very important document.